Hey, hello, this is Moon Griffon back again on our podcast, and we're enjoying ourselves with this. I hope you are too. Don't forget to check us out and subscribe. Moon Griffon Show. You can see it right over my shoulder right here. Griffon. Moon Griffon Show. And check us out. Podcast, wherever you like to get your podcast, YouTube, Rumble. And we do appreciate it as we do more of a national podcast. I actually do a radio program. I've been doing it I'm in my 30th year in the great state of Louisiana, but we do branch out. We talk national politics. We're using this podcast for everything. We've talked about Coach Saban. We talked about religion. We talk about politics. We talk about a lot of things here on the Moon Griffon podcast and the Moon Griffon Show. But anyway, I appreciate it. Don't forget, please subscribe and make sure you tell everybody about the Moon Griffon Show and the new podcast that we've cranked up. So we really enjoy it. So, it's amazing. I've been doing this for 30 years. And following the politics for 30 years, not only in the state of Louisiana, but all over the country. And I find it amazing. We got Republicans and Democrats and Republicans, Democrats, Republicans. Okay. And everybody's going to go vote for this, and it's going to change the world, change the country. And I got to thinking about this. I had a good friend of mine. We talked years ago. He's no longer with us. And we came up with a new term. And it's not Republican and it's not Democrat. And when you think about Washington, D.C., and you think about the swamp, I don't think about Republicans and Democrats no more. I think about ins and outs. Remember the term and where you heard it first, ins and outs. I've been watching this for a long time. I've been voting now. I'm 61 years old. I've been voting since I've been 18. My first vote was for Ronald Reagan. Proud to vote for Ronald Reagan. Okay, was my first vote. That was when I was 18 years old. And the amazing thing about it is I was voting Republican. I'd register Republican. You got people registered Democrat. And there's nothing wrong with that. People can choose the sides they want to choose. But when I look at Washington, D.C. politics, and you go back for the time Ronald Reagan came in, and I think Ronald Reagan did an excellent job. But when I look at the overall issues that really matter to this country, when you think about it, what's really changed? And I'll tell you, nothing except technology. You throw technology out, nothing's changed. All the issues that we talk about, we're fussing about today in 2022, we were fussing about in 1979 and 1980. We were fussing about, you go back to Jimmy Carter. We were fussing about the same things with inflation and things of that nature. And he was a horrible president, just like the president we have now. He's horrendous. But I want to look at the big picture. And the big picture is Congress. Okay? If you go back, Ronald Reagan and one of the Bush, two Bushes, Obama, Clinton, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, you got to start asking yourself, what's really changed on the big issues? Because we've seen Republican president with Republican House and Senate. We've seen Democrat president with Democrat House and Senate. We've seen a Republican president with a Democrat House and Senate. We've seen a Democrat president with a Republican House and Senate. You get the drift. We've had every mixture you can possibly imagine. What's changed? We were talking about the border and illegals coming in this country back in 1979 when President Reagan came in. And I'll back up. He won in 80. Okay. But you get the drift. Back in that time. Okay. And it was amazing to watch. All the issues back then are the same issues today. Nothing changes. That's why I say there's ins and there's outs. The ins, Republican and Democrat, are running the country, and all of a sudden, we get mad at them. And all the ones on the outs saying, look at what they're doing to screw the country up. Look at what they're doing. Then we change it. We put the outs are the ins and the ins are outs. What changes? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. That's what amazing. Ins and outs. It's not Republican and Democrat. The swamp is just ins and outs. It's who gets to spend the money, period. It's who gets to be in power, period. I want you to think about that. Let me just take some issues. Just grab some that I think means something. I talked about illegal aliens. Now, it was a problem then. They did a little amnesty program back then, about 2 or 3 million people, and made them citizens overnight. And they said this would fix it. This was back in the early 80s. Did it fix it? No. Is the problem worse now? Way worse. It is so bad. But yet, every Congress, every president that comes across, they say they're going to fix it. And we change Democrats to Republicans, Democrats. What has changed? Not one thing. How about our debt? I remember when they were fussing about Reagan and George Bush running up debt, and our deficit was $2 or $3 trillion. And we thought, oh my God, this is horrible. I remember when Ross Perot came on. You know, the short guy with the funny haircut, as Rush Limbaugh used to say. He came along and talked about the big debt. And back then it was 4 or 5 trillion, maybe. 3 or 4 trillion, 2 or 3 trillion. That's 32 trillion. So when you look at the debt, has that changed? Absolutely not. Have they ever got a balanced budget amendment passed? No. Every Republican and Democrat runs on, we're going to balance the budget. Have we ever balanced the budget in the history, really, of the United States? Well, we did years ago, but you go back to that time, we don't change anything. We just elect a Democrat and a Republican and Democrat, ins and outs. It doesn't matter. We don't change anything. How about a healthcare? We've been hearing about high skyrocketing healthcare prices since, folks, I was 18 years old when I even realized what healthcare was even a thought. We're still fighting that battle. It's more expensive than it ever was. We got more people on the government payroll. We got more people on government healthcare. We've not fixed healthcare one bit. We've learned it through Obamacare, maybe, and that's going to probably come where it eventually gets destroyed. But we're still talking about the same issues that we talk about all the time. How about race relationships? Race relations. And if we come a long ways on race relations. But because of the media, because of the left, because of the Democrats, okay, what are we doing? We're still fighting about race. I thought we'd been past race a long time ago. No. We're still fighting about race every single day. How about Social Security? Let's talk about Social Security a second. Social Security. Now, just in the name, it sounds, boy, that's an awesome thing. Social Security is broke. I remember talking about Social Security years ago, many years ago, and they're going to fix it, and we got to fix it, and we got to fix it. Is it fixed? Hell no, it's not fixed. Have they done anything to make it better? Hell no, they ain't done anything to make it better. And they're not going to, because it's not a priority, because this is about you and me. See, Washington, D.C. is about money. Washington, D.C. is about power and money. You think it's about you? It's not about you. They just need your vote. They need your vote to stay in there, in Washington. They need your vote to stay in power. And then whoever gets in power that we elect, Republican and Democrat, ins and outs, guess what? They become lobbyists later. I'll just give you a couple examples in my state. The legendary great John Breaux, who, by the way, lobbies for TikTok in China. And Breaux went to Washington, D.C. Breaux didn't have a pot to pee in. Go find out what John Breaux's worth. Go find out what his family's worth. Go chat Phil Graham. You can just go down a list of people. There's not hardly one lawmaker, with the exception of a couple in Louisiana. And it's like this in every state. When they leave Washington politics and they leave from being a congressman, congresswoman, or a senator, they're going to be a lobbyist. They know where the money's at. They know who's been working them. They know who's financed their campaign. And they see the money out there. Ins and outs, folks, are Republicans and Democrats. I think there's ins. The ins get to spend the money. The outs get to talk about the people that are in. They talk bad about them. So we get them out and we put the other ones back in, and now they get to spend the money. It's not Republican and Democrat. Tell me what's changed. I mean, you've ever heard the stories about the VA system? Okay, I'm going to take me a little shot of water right here, folks. I like cold water. You ever heard of the VA system? We hear complaints about it all the time. I know the VA, and there's a lot of areas that they do a good job, but we're still hearing complaints. We're still hearing the problems with the VA system. Now, the VA system is supposed to be for our veterans. Our veterans ought to have the top of the line medical situations for them, medical care for them than anybody, because they fought for this great country. They put their lives on the line. Okay? Why are we still having problems with the VA? But every few years it pops up. Well, the VA, we're not funded enough. The VA, we got this irresponsibility going on. It never changes. And why doesn't it change? We change Republicans to Democrats. We change Democrats to Republicans. Shouldn't these issues that we're talking about today, that I was watching people or listening to people that were older than me talking about when I was 16, 15, 18 years old? Taxes. The American people have been overtaxed to no end. And every elected official says, well, we got to change that. We got to change the tax code. Does the tax code ever change? But somebody tell me, I don't mean a tax cut, which, by the way, I'm thankful every time I get one. I got to go to Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump for tax breaks. Okay? Everybody else seems to raise them. Remember? Read my lips, no new taxes. That was a Republican. That was a Republican. So we get the Republicans. How about the Supreme Court? We put people on the Supreme Court. You ever heard of a guy named Judge Roberts? Put on there by George W. Bush. Or a big conservative, big constitutional guy. He gave us Obamacare. He destroyed our healthcare system. In time, it will be a single-payer system because of Roberts, who was supposed to be a Republican. Ins and outs. Ins and outs. We elect these people. They go put people in. We think, wow, look what they're going to do. And look what they do to us. So you got that. How about this one? This is another couple more. Education. Boy, we're going to change the education system. We're going to change it. And the only thing they ever do in education is dump money in it. There's no wholesale changes in education. Besides, education ought to be a local and state issue. Every bit of it. But you know why the federal government gets in? You know why the politicians get in? Money. They know these schools stay broke. They stay broke. So if they send them money, they get to control it. Okay? That's what's going on. Here's another one. Inner cities. How many times has the Democrats, more than Republicans want people just to get up, be responsible, go to work, and take care of their families. But the Democrats, look what they've done to the inner cities and our friends, the Black community in the inner cities. The promises made to them of their ship coming in and how you going to prosper. And we're going to put you in school and we give you this and we give you this. And all of a sudden, those inner cities, I'm telling you right now, with the crime and the drugs and the illegitimacy, all that stuff has gotten worse and worse and worse. And we had 8 years of Barack Obama. We had 8 years of Barack Obama. Tell me what's changed in the inner cities. Tell me what's changed when the Democrat, and they get the inner cities to go vote heavy Democrat. What's changed? Nothing. But what they do is they say, oh, if the Republicans get in there, they're going to take away welfare. They're going to take away free food. I've been hearing that. You're going to take away Social Security. We've been hearing that from the politicians. Who says that? The outs. The outs still the ends. The outs want the ends to be the ends. The ends are going to end up out because the outs lie about the ends. And really, it's about spending money. What's changed? What's different between Mitch McConnell and Schumer, Chucky Schumer? I don't see the difference. If you see the difference, please tell me. I want somebody to tell me how things have changed. Okay? I know we've gotten to be more partisan and all that stuff. That's fine. But I'm talking about just strictly spending, debt, money. It doesn't matter when the Republicans end or the Democrats are in on all the issues I just mentioned to you, and I mentioned 5, 6, 7, 8 issues. Every one of them have gotten worse over the last 50 years, not better. Every one of them has created more dependency over the last 50 years, not better. And we've had Republican president, Democrat president, Republican Congress, Democrat Congress, Republican Senate, Democrat Senate. We had every combination and divide and togetherness you could possibly bring together. And guess what? Nothing's changed. And the reason that it's not going to change, folks, is because it's in most cases, in these issues, we get into more of the social issues, there's a big difference between Republicans and Democrats. Let me just be upfront. A gigantic difference, but not all Republicans, which hurt Republicans. See, folks, when we get down to it, elected officials over the last 50 years, they owe you and me a gigantic apology for what they've done to this country. So no matter what the issue is, and I grab just 7, 8, we can come up with a bunch more. Border, we're going to control the border. Been hearing that since I voted at 18 years of age. What happened? I've been hearing about school reform all my entire life. And the only thing I've ever seen happen in education is we dump a lot of money in it, but no results. That's ins and outs. These people in Washington, D.C., every damn one of them owe us an apology. Every one of them. Every one of them. And I don't care who they are. They owe us an apology. They owe American people an apology. They planned with you and me. Find out how many of them went to Washington that are filthy rich now, and how many of their kids and their grandkids and their best friends are filthy rich, Republican and Democrat. And you would be shocked. you would be shocked to find out what these people are worth now. All because they went to Washington, D.C. as a United States Senator and as a United States House member. And they went there and they hung around long enough so where they can make an impact on their life, but not ours. All the issues that I taught, illegitimacy, we were going to stop that. The war on drugs, any of that gotten better? The war on drugs, crime, none of it. And it's due to the people who are in. It's ins and outs. You can twist every Republican, Democrat, and all that. And they've got some good people in Washington. Didn't say they didn't. But for the most part, there's not enough of us that's representing us in Washington. There's a lot of people who claim to be this and claim to be that. But I'm telling you, for the last 50 years, it's ins and outs. It doesn't matter if they're Republican or Democrat when it comes to most issues, especially dealing with money. Anyway, folks, my name is Moon Griffon. Check us out, Moon Griffon Show. You can go to my website, moongriffon.com. You can check out my radio program. It's 9 to 12, Monday through Friday. I've been doing it for almost 30 years. But the podcast, we're excited about it. Make sure you subscribe and tell people to subscribe to the Moon Griffon Show. Tell them about the ins and outs. You never heard that. You've heard it now. That is more important than Republican and Democrats. God bless. See you next time.